Hello friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my very deep dive report into Neptune in Aries. Neptune will officially move into Aries in March 2025 and it will make a brief dip out back into Pisces at the end of this year, but it will never be more than 1 degree away from Aries. So for all intents and purposes, the energetics we're going to talk about now will still be straight through even during that time into March 2039. So we've got a 14-year transit where the things I'm going to talk about here are going to be in full effect. I'm calling the theme of this transit the sneaky transit that's changing everything. And indeed, it, even through all of 2024, has only been traveling within a degree or so of Aries. So this undercurrent of these themes have been sneaking up on us. And before you know it, they're going to be very, very, very obvious once you understand the ways that this transit is connected to some things that have been brewing. Then it will be much easier for you to see how this has sort of been coming from undercover and popping up in this sneaky way, which makes perfect sense because Neptune is the ruler of this quiet space of our deep subconscious and unconscious mind, and the things that are in the backdrop that are not quite as noticeable but are definitely happening are ruled by this space. So we're going to dive into this very, very important movement, and it's actually even more important than many transits that we have when planets move into a new sign, especially if it's an outer planet. It's always a really big deal because like this planet is in a sign for around 14 years. It's something different. It's going to be a theme that we're working with for a long time. But there's even more magnitude to what is happening here, because anytime a planet moves from the sign of Pisces into the sign of Aries, it moves past this very critical point, which is the ascendant point of the chart. It's the rising point of a natal chart, and it's the point that we cross through which we go down the Uberlube highway slide from the sky into our individual being. So this is the point, the 29-degree point that we're going to cross over here to 0 degrees of Aries, is the point at which the cosmic connection, the all that is, springs into individuation into the individual. So for humanity, it's a very, very critical point whenever anything crosses this point, because it's the birthing of something from the all that is into this individual form. It's the baby form of it. It's the birth form of it. And it's very, very, very powerful. Now, I just want to give a quick note back. If you have Aries placement and you're in my community, and you have been in my community since June of last year, I did actually give you all a sneak peek into the Neptune in Aries because since it was influencing sooner than you may have heard about it, if you have an Aries placement, sun, moon, rising, any placement in Aries, look for my June 2024 report, and the whole first part of that report is Neptune in Aries for Aries. Okay, so I might not re-record that information again, but it is still valid. I will speak to some of those things here, but I'm going to add so many more things and apply it to the general view. So I just want to give you that point. Okay, so this is a very, very big deal. So Neptune is moving into this space. Neptune rules the 12th house, rules Pisces, and it's been at home in that space. And now it's moving in from a water sign, from a water house, being a water ruler, into an Aries fire sign, fire house, and this is going to change everything. So I'm going to talk quite a bit about how the energy of Neptune and its watery domain will mix in this new realm of fire. But I want to give a little bit more information about some of the things that we're likely to see here. So this condensing down into form from the ethereal being is what's being represented here. And we're moving to this space of the individual, of our individual experience. And it's like that point of bringing spirituality into our daily experience. And this is something that we're going to see. one of the big things that we'll notice with this transit is a very big boom in spirituality. For some people, that will be religion. For some people, it will be a non-denominational view of the all that is. It could be the Shinto nature spirit connection like they have in Japan. It could be, any number of not specific, religion. It's just more a spirituality thing, and that can manifest through religion, or it can manifest through a more, loose understanding of there being some sort of source that is benevolent, has a plan, and is behind the scenes, that's sort of guiding things. And, so I really feel like one of the things that's going to happen over the next 14 years of this transit is that discussions of spirituality, discussions of the all that is, discussions of the afterlife, discussions of the lesser seen realms, of the realm of psychology and spirituality and synchronicity, which is the language of spirit, is going to become much more commonplace. And we have seen that over time this has been happening. In the last year, this has been happening even more. This is also going to add a lot of vigor to the discussions about mental dis-ease and how we can, resolve that and take Aries action on that. So the combination of the mental realms, the psychological realms, spiritual realms, are going to mix with this active realm, this action of Aries through the form of spiritual warriorship. We're unifying these seemingly opposing forces. Pisces is behind the scenes, it's quiet, it's moving, around through a watery type of, movement. And then we go into Aries, which is Pisces is mutable, so it moves in a spiral. Now, Neptune's energy is going to be cycling through like a unidirectional arrow of Aries. So it's like it is condensing from this all that is, cycling energy, condensing into this finite, just kind of direction. Or maybe it's not finite because it's going on forever, but it's like it's moving into a unidirectional format here, which is really, really very interesting. So the things that this transit is going to be amazing for is for owning our intuition and not being afraid of our intuition, and not being taboo to say, I'm going to meditate before I answer this question or make this decision. Groups of people doing spiritual practices in public places. This is already happening in many parts of the world. You may see more of this happening, that spirituality is just a way of life. It's a thing that has been absent from many people. And I think it will be a unifying force, where there's, again, this like all over the place energy into this unidirectional. And it doesn't have to be one way. It just is going in the direction of aligning with spirit, of aligning with intuition, and that being, a normal discussion. This Aryan blend of instinct is going to be mixing with intuition. One of the trends that we will be seeing is understanding this principle of thy will and my will. And this sounds like it's in a religious context, and for some people it will be, but it doesn't have to be a religious context. It's a spiritual context, meaning there could be some sort of plan for you. And when we fight against that plan, it's stressful. It's not in alignment. Universe whispers, the universe screams, universe bangs really loudly. And so the energy of Neptune in Aries is going to be very much about this aligning with your will, which is action, Aries, your individual choice, your free will choice, with the spiritual plan that is laid out, which can make your manifestation success 100%. Because if you align with the plan that is already in motion, then you're 100% successful where that plan is going. I have an example of this from my own life when it was starting to come up that Spirit wanted me to be an astrologer. I actually didn't want to be an astrologer, and I was very reluctant. And it took me a while of, basically my Aries friend and teacher who made me become an astrologer. She looked at my chart. She said, "You're going to be an astrologer." I said, "I don't really want to do that. I'm not interested in that." She said, "Well, that's fine. You're still going to be an astrologer." And she was right. One of the wonders of astrology that you can see these kinds of things in charts. But when I started to really stop trying to not be an astrologer, then I became very successful as an astrologer. And that's, just an example from my own life about this energy mixing together, with Neptune and Pisces. And, I have Aries rising. And when I started to align my will with that path for me, it really just started to work out. And so you will see this transit is going to really step up manifestation as you become more clear about the difference between faith and fear, the difference between your intuition and your fears, and you do the spiritual work to fine tune your intuitive powers. This is a gift. This is a sixth sense that everybody has. We have more faculties and senses than we are aware of. And those truths becoming well known and worked with are going to be part of what goes on over the next 14 years, as well as energetic systems of the body becoming known as truth. Chakra systems, meridian systems. We already can show the existence of these through technological means, and it's going to become more normal. This is going to be normalized in this time, and you will see that things that were hard to describe or hard to believe because you couldn't see them, they're going to start to become more substantiated with this energy. So the energy of spirit is the energy of Neptune. The energy of Aries is the energy of manifestation and action. So all of these spiritual things are going to be put into action and manifestation. Something else that I see is going to happen is there's going to be a major change and major improvement in our understanding of diet, food, things that we take into the body, and body awareness. Really like a spiritual revolution of what we put in and on our bodies. This is going to become more materialized. People will see that when you slather toxins on your skin, bypasses your detoxification system and just goes right into your bloodstream. And this is a huge problem. So that the awareness of the chemicals and the toxins, Neptune, Pisces, rules toxification of the water systems of the earth, toxification of our systems of the earth. We notice that the earth is becoming very dirty, its water is becoming very dirty, right? Well, as above, so below. This is the outer reflection that our inner waters have become very dirty with the things that we take in as well. So I believe that this is definitely going to show a huge revelation, and you'll be noticing this very, very quickly, very soon. Will start to manifest and will deepen over the next 14 years. That, chemicals and things that we've been eating that have just been commonplace, things like high fructose corn syrup and, just things that many scientists know are terrible for the body. It magnifies the amount of fat cell production, which is very directly related to obesity, because it's cheaper. It's triple concentrated. So I'm not going to go into too many details about the specifics, but just giving you examples. There are things that are commonplace in food, especially in the United States, that, this is going to change, and this transit is going to change this. And our awareness is going to be lifted. It's going to be spiritualized. And the reason is because Aries, the first house, rules the body, the physical body. This is, our physicality. As I said, this is us being condensed from spirit into form. And that form that's being animated by the spirit of Pisces, this all that is individuating into our individual energy, and it's focusing on the physical body. Also, people are going to have more of an awareness of the gifts that they have and the ways they want to express them. And this is going to be very different than, previous generations where we're guided to do certain types of work for certain types of reasons, which sometimes is not in line with our self, our true authentic self. The first house, the Aries energy, is true authentic energy, our authentic energy. So as Neptune moves into Aries and stays there for a really long time, it's, this is one of the things that's going to happen. It's going to spiritualize everything it touches. Neptune spiritualizes everything that it touches. It brings emotional connection to everything it touches. Brings the depths of the oceans of the world, of our being, of our inner world, into wherever it's going. So it's going to spiritualize our physicality, spiritualize the reverence of our body as a temple of divine stuff, divine star stuff. We are made of divine energy, and that is what inspires our being with life. And the awareness of our body as a temple, many people will go into a sacred place and be irreverent, but most people, even if they're not religious, will go in a beautiful church, that they'll cry. I know that every time I've gone into, a beautiful church, I will actually just bawl with emotion over, how people inspired created something so beautiful. And you'll see this difference that people have when they go into these spaces, even if it's a type of church that isn't in alignment with what they believe. This reverence for a holy space, this reverence for sacred space, there's going to be an increase in that type of thing, especially as it relates to your physical body and seeing your body as a temple. Something else very important about this has to do with boundaries and the lack of boundaries, and how many societies have been built on not allowing children to have boundaries, which turn them into adults that don't have boundaries, which makes it a free-for-all in their physical space, which changes, the nature of how they relate to themselves in the world. So there is going to be a chance for this awareness of the body as a physical embodiment of spirit and being a temple to be honored. So that's all very exciting. Now, in the process of spiritualizing, sometimes Neptune dissolves things out. It is the great dissolver. It will dissolve out untruths. It will dissolve out things that are worn out. It will dissolve out, some stability sometimes. It will dissolve out the things that you thought you knew in favor of something, bigger that will come in here. So Neptune is the ruler of the sea. Neptune is the Roman god name of Poseidon, who is the Greek god, one of the Olympians. And, Poseidon, Neptune, they rule the seas, symbolizing the subconscious, emotional depths. And Neptune also rules the waterways and all of the lakes and the rivers and the oceans. And so I think a lot of the way that Aries is going to manifest in this space is taking a lot of action on cleaning up the oceans. And that's very exciting to me. I think technology is going to really, really come into play here. And there's a very big possibility that a massive amount of cleanup of our individual body waters, as I talked about before, but also that reflecting out inside and outside, reflecting into a rapid cleanup, discoveries of ways to clean up the messes that we have made and start to purify our world and purify our bodies. The energy of the spiritual visionary will come into play very strongly. And so the spiritual warrior energy, we're taking action on ideals in ways that involve the compassion and the connectedness and the forgiveness and the togetherness and the united front of, of the Piscean, the highest version of the Piscean energy. Every sign, every placement, every planet has a range of potential expression from highest to lowest. And there are many negative Piscean, Neptunian, Aries traits that I could talk about that can be encouraged by this. And maybe at some point I'll get to some of that. But for right now, what I really want to focus on is the positive possibilities of this transit. And when we're working with our highest expression and really trying to do that, what that can look like. This energy from Pisces to Aries can convert from dreamer to warrior and from dreamer to activist. It's very much about bold beginnings and individuality and action. And it doesn't have to be, it's like the combination of the individual and the all that is. So it's like an individual using their unique gifts and their unique, their strong will that they're aligning with the Piscean storyline of the togetherness, so it's in this format, in its highest expression. It's not about just the individual as an island. It's about the individual as a droplet in the sea and aligning towards consciousness. If you've ever seen Jiramoto's work on, and some other scientists as well, on the consciousness of water and seeing how energy affects the coherence or lack of coherence of the crystalline structure of water forming ice. We are water, and this is very very relevant here. So the consciousness is something that's going to become, this word consciousness is going to be something that comes into the forefront with this transit. And the consciousness of the individual is going to be very much aligned with the connectedness to everything else rather than just the individual for the individual's sake. It's a very selfless spiritual warrior type of movement. There's a lot of boldness. There's a lot of the potential of harnessing chaos. The chaos of, when I was explaining this pattern of this spiral, this mutable energy that Pisces, that Neptune has, it's all over the place. And actually, I put an upward spiral. It's actually a downward spiral. Yeah, so Pisces is a downward and inward spiral where it spirals into and out of sight, into this hidden realm. And that could be a little chaotic because the center point is here in the middle. And in the moving around, there's this deviation. Away from the middle, there in the middle. Away from the middle, there in the middle. See? But when it moves into Aries, it has this chance to be aligned and unidirectional, which can really be very, very much connected to this idea of taking order and direction from chaos and converting the chaos into order. And compassionate action, this transformation of the collective in the individual and the collective through the individual, is very important here. Neptune's energy is very much about healing. And as we talked about, healing the individual is going to be very important because the group is made up of individuals. And it's also about healing our identity, our mask, this point here that we cross over when Pisces goes from 29 degrees of Pisces, or Neptune goes from 29 degrees Pisces to 0 degrees of Aries, is really magical because this is the birth point. This is the point that we come into form. And in the chart, this point in the chart represents our birth, and so healing birth trauma, healing, the energy of the mask that is dysfunctional. Sometimes we have a positive, use of masks where we put on different masks to do different things and to interact with different people in different situations. But, the authentic being and the tuning into where the mask is not serving us and is blocking us from intimacy and blocking us from relationships with others, this is a place where, this profound healing is happening. And I know that this video will be current for 14 years. And so what I'm about to discuss is not going to be, current for the whole time, but certainly here at the beginning, as Neptune moves over into Aries, it's going to actually cross right over this North Node point, which is right here at the early Aries degree. And they're kind of running into each other. Pisces, or Neptune's moving forward, and this highest expression in this lifetime, this transiting North Node, is moving backwards, and they're colliding, into this union of highest expression for this lifetime, which is, a very critical, very cool, very exciting point. We have this inspired activism, people acting on their dreams and ideals, not out of anger, but out of compassion. And this is a whole different energy than Aries energy is usually, because Aries is ruled by Eris, or Aries, the god of war. And Aries energy on its own, in a lower expression, of course, can be combative. It's about physical warrior. But now here with this lens of Neptune going over it, this is the spiritual warrior. This is the inspired activism. This is the new spiritual pathways and the mystical practices and the spiritual exploration. Astrology has a role here too, because you could look at someone's chart and you can see lifetimes of information about their soul and their DNA and their ancestry and what they're doing and where they're going and why they do things. And this is, so that is one of the reasons why astrology is so fast growing in this time, because all of these transits are conspiring together to bring about this spiritual renaissance where we can use these tools that have been around for, since the beginning of human history and probably before, to have this, this dissolution of the things that are not real and this stepping into the things that are real. So to close out here, I'm going to do just a quick summary of the houses that are aspected for each placement. I'll tell you the house that Neptune will be moving through. Aries, of course, moving through your first house. Definitely go to my June 2024 report, no matter how far in the future this is. That report, the whole first half of that is very much about this transit for you as an Aries through the Aries lens, your physical first house. Then we've got Taurus. This is going to be going through your 12th house. Neptune will be there, and this is this deep dive into the spiritual healing, of that Neptunian rulership of that house, letting go of outdated fears and finding strength and stillness in your inner work. Gemini energy. Gemini friends, you're going to be having Neptune moving through your 11th house. And this is very much focused on creating a visionary community or joining a cause that fuels your ideals, where your individual talents get put into the pool of a group with a bigger vision than you could carry out on your own. Your friendships will inspire your boldest dreams, and your social connections are going to be of changing into their more spiritual form. A lot of dissolution will happen in those friendship arenas, and spiritualizing and bringing up of many octaves. Cancer friends, we're going to have this going through your 10th house. And this is going to give you the opportunity to lead with compassion in your career or your outer realm, whether you're doing, work for money or not. This is going to be a time of spiritualizing your workspace and getting in alignment with your ideals and getting your work aligned with that. It's also going to have to do with your soul's mission and what you're here to do for, for what you're doing out in the world, with how people know you, applying spirituality to that space and taking action on that. Okay, so then Leo, you're going to have Neptune moving through your 9th house, and this is going to give you opportunities to embrace your spiritual exploration through travel, spiritual travel, and philosophy or study, and this quest for finding the truth that resonates with you is going to be very, very strong. It could dissolve out some of the belief systems that you have, or it could further serve to spiritualize them and bring them up several octaves of what you already believe, or the beliefs will be dissolved and new ones will take shape as the spiritualizing process occurs. Virgo, you're going to have Neptune moving through your 8th house, and this is going to give you a chance to spiritualize your deepest, most intimate relationships, to take off your mask with the people close to you, to be more vulnerable, and to really align with using spiritually your shared resources. And there's definitely profound healing awaiting, in the deep studies of the subconscious mind and ethereal types of areas of focus. Then Libra, your relationships are going to become your spiritual portals. So this is spiritualizing your relationships. Anything that is not true or not in your highest expression will start to be dissolved out, and the new shape of your highest expression and your highest relationships will be coming into play. Then Scorpio, you're going to have your 6th house here. This is going to spiritualize your daily practices and really help you to bring and integrate spirituality into your daily experience. It's going to redefine your work and your wellness and your stress management, and infuse those daily routines with a more spiritual lens. And if you're already doing spiritual work, it will just enhance it that much more. Sagittarius friends, Neptune's going to be moving through your 5th house, spiritualizing your relationship with children and your relationship creativity, and possibly have you channeling and really connecting into higher octaves of personal expression. The muse will be calling, and it will be time to answer that call. Capricorn, you're going to get your invitation to build a sanctuary of emotional authenticity and make your home truly your sacred space. It may dissolve out things that you knew as home or ways of looking at home or housing or family, but it will bring it up many octaves, and it may bring you closer to the sea or water as your living experience. Aquarius, you're going to have 3rd house activated here, where your words are going to inspire revolutions, and you can share your vision through teaching and writing, activism, It's going to spiritualize all of your relationships. Relationships with friends and family and neighbors and cousins and aunts and uncles are going to go through a spiritual evaluation, and you may see some things dissolving out only to be raised to higher octaves. And then finally, last but not least, Pisces, as your ruler moves through Aries, is going to activate your second house, and this is going to spiritualize your approach to money, to finances, to sustainability. It's going to inspire creative solutions and connection with the nature, or nature spirits, or nature itself, and just the awesomeness of nature and the connection to the natural rhythms, the cycles, that are always occurring. Get you grounded, your feet grounded in the earth. Neptune rules your feet. Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces in your feet will help you to get more of a spiritual grounding in your daily experience. Well, I hope that this has been helpful for you to understand what we're in for the next 14 years and some magical ways that this energy can manifest and what you can do to activate it and to understand what's going on so you can go through this consciously and raise your experience up many, many octaves. If you're interested in more by me, if you resonate with my work, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. You can find me on, more on whatever venue you found me, Spotify or podcast or YouTube. But the best way to connect in with all I do is to go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. As you navigate that page, you'll see all of the links to all of the other free things that I give you. And if you put your name and email address in and click receive, you'll become part of my VIP community. You'll get all of my postings early, my public stuff you'll get early, plus all kinds of other goodies, including my sweet and salty write-up of the dates to most know for the month, all a month in advance. I'll see you in the next report. Bye for now.